This episode of Soul Decodes is pre-recorded, but Sarah and Tia Jolie felt it compelling enough to share with you today. We hope you agree.
The following Earth Angel Media presentation is brought to you commercial-free as a gratuity from the sponsor producer named after the show. Please consider their message. Find other high-value shows listed at earthangelproject.com. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Soul Decodes. Join us as we wander off the path to find the ideas that fascinate. We talk about spirituality, the mind, the ego, wellness, and hidden history with tips, travels, and tales. Charms for a better life.
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome. My name is Dr. Tia Jolie Phillips, and I'm here in Central Florida at beautiful Phillips Island in the Treehouse Studio with Sarah Tirri.
It's great to be back here again. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so looking forward to this series.
Me too. This is going to be fun.
This is going to be amazing.
So she's a writer, a philosopher, and a thinker. She's kind of like a friend I've been waiting for a large part of my life.
Aww.
But, you know, we had a conversation recently, and I reflected over your mirror world. Yes. And, I took a lot of notes when you read that. This is some time ago. You read it many episodes ago. I took some notes, and I've been wanting to get back to those notes and kind of talk through them.
Oh, great.
We don't have to do it today.
No,
we
let's
can talk
do
about
it
anyway.
Yeah, let's do it. I don't
but
mind
my
at all.
idea...
It's fresh in my mind.
I know, right? Well, it's because it's your book.
Oh,
right?
I know.
But my idea is that, I just want to freewheel on some of the things that went through my mind while you were reading that,
Great.
like that some time
Perfect.
ago.
Yeah.
Then based on maybe some of those things, you can pick and choose maybe some of the topics that you might want to maybe dive into deeper.
Well, you shoot with the first one, and then I'll see what you come up with.
I was thinking that, or I could just go through a whole bunch.
Why don't you just go through a batch,
I'll
and then we'll pick them apart.
But before I do that, I want to ask you a question. Some time ago, I gave you some coffee to try.
Still in my handbag.
You can't taste it if it's in your handbag.
I found it yesterday. It's in a side pocket.
But I want to ask you if maybe I'll brew it up for you or something. You just add hot water. It's got in it cordyceps mushrooms. I don't know if you know anything about cordyceps. No. So sometime maybe next episode, I'll talk to you about cordyceps mushrooms.
Okay.
Because I really want to talk to you about that because they're so healthy. It's one of the healthiest mushrooms. It's actually got a lot going for it. So I just want to encourage you to try it.
I'm going to. I promise I will.
I'm putting you on the spot.
No, I will. I will do it today, and then I'm going to film myself.
Right. Well, you just add 6 or 8 ounces of water and you're done. But
I have tea in the morning, so I'm used to caffeine in the morning.
Okay, well, this is...
But I'm pretty sped up anyway.
Well, and this is the thing. I spent a lot of time trying different coffees that were healthy, and most of them taste like crap. I mean, they're just hideous. Because what they try to do is take mushrooms and herbs and try to configure them so they taste like real coffee. Well, what you have in your purse there it's real coffee. It's like this premium coffee that's hand-picked. It's also infused with cordyceps. And you can't even taste the mushrooms. Mm. So it's just the opposite of my experiences before, where the mushroom coffees I've tried before were hideous.
So
this is just the opposite.
Is it sort of a tangible, instant result, or should I have this every day for a week and then just pay attention to how I'm feeling?
Would say,
do that.
Let me give you a week's worth.
Okay, that would be good, and I'll do that.
But,
and I'll have Tony do it as well, because he's a coffee lover. He'll do that.
Well, what I found is this. I've been drinking this now for about 3 months. When I go back and drink regular coffee, it tastes disgusting.
Yeah.
The brewed coffee. And this is a coffee that, when you're married to a chef, you come from a restaurant business. Some of us, I'm not going to say I'm a coffee snob, but, I do feel like since I have so few vices, I really don't. I'm a really clean person.
Yes, you are.
But
you're very inspiring.
But if I'm going to drink coffee, I want it to be a
good.
great experience. I want it to be delicious, right? Mm-hmm. But I just wanted to introduce that to you? Because
I will.
I want to get your feedback.
Yeah, I do.
So,
I'll definitely be. I'll be a science experiment for you.
but to answer your question, I would do it for a period of time.
And I'll have that in the morning rather than have tea.
Or you can have both. I mean, it's not going to give you...
It's a ritual I have in the morning with my tea, so I'll just switch it to coffee.
Well, coffee's my ritual.
Yeah.
I've tried to switch over to
Tony
tea.
has coffee in the morning.
I've tried to switch over to teas before.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just not...
Yeah.
I'm not English.
That's right. It was ingrained in us
I'm
to have
American.
tea. There wasn't coffee in my house.
I don't have my crumpets. What is a crumpet anyway?
A crumpet is a very chewy,
don't even know what a crumpet
kind
is.
of unremarkable chewy thing. I never really got into them. It looks a bit like a muffin, and it had lots of crevices in it, and you toast them.
Do they taste good? Or do you must have tea to tolerate it? I mean,
oh, that's awful, isn't it? Yeah, you have to wash it down with something. You have to chew it a lot. I'm going to get you some for you to try.
No.
No, you have to try it for yourself because it's very, very individual.
Okay.
Because I can't liken it to anything. It's a very singular experience, a crumpet. Yeah.
all right. Okay, thanks
All
for
right.
that.
I'll look you up.
I didn't expect to go there, but okay. So when we were talking some time ago about the mirror world, I took these notes, and I've been really wanting to talk to you about these notes.
All right.
And they're not in any particular order because they were just random thoughts that came through my head. And we don't even have to cover these now. We can go on to something
I'd
else.
like to.
Because I want to hear about your property.
I want to do this. I'm intrigued now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So while you were going through, there were several things that affirmed things that I've learned, which is great because those affirmations are very, they feel good. Right?
Yeah. And they're ongoing. You should. Ongoing
and some of these are
every day.
just questions that I wanted to ask you because, I mean, you and I have very, very similar, but we also have very different perspectives too, which I think is exciting because by asking those questions where we differ, this is where we learn.
Yes, exactly.
And that's the whole point. It's
exactly.
Just because, our worldviews are different or our perspectives are different, it's by embracing those differences that you learn. Mm-hmm. Like, how boring would it be if every place you went, people agreed with you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it would just be lifeless, wouldn't it?
The sky is purple. Yeah, okay. It's like, what?
I'm bored already.
I know, it's like, but
there's an emphasis on people wanting to be in agreement, right? And I see that. And why are we so concerned of having a perspective that's like someone else? It must make us feel safe to some degree.
Yeah, that's
make us fit in. And I've just never felt like that.
Well, that's me neither.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why, we're see, because even when I was raising I have 4 children, I have 4 grandchildren. My attitude has always been, I'd rather be respected than liked. Like, you can like me later, which now that my kids are adults, they're like, oh my God, I hear myself saying things you told me as a kid.
Oh, that's funny.
And that's kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
But I'd rather be respected. So I think that when people feel like they have to be accepted, they have to be liked, people have to agree with them, I think that's prima facie evidence of a low self-image. Mm. So for those of us who have strong...
we don't give a shit, basically.
Well, it's like, look, I'm just trying to be the best I can be.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make sense of everything around me. I'm trying to elevate my own game, up my own game, physically, mentally, emotionally.
Right.
The way I think.
Yes, me too.
The depth and the breadth of my thinking. I'm trying to expand myself all the time. So, if you bring up something that differs, or if we have a different perspective, or even if we are vehemently opposed on something, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, me
It doesn't
too.
threaten me.
No, it doesn't threaten me either.
In fact, there's so many times where somebody said something that's so outrageous, and I'm like, because we're in this world now, especially with politics and all of this stuff. Yeah. It's like this war here and this war there, and they're paying money for this and not this, and all of this divisiveness. If you took the time to, let's just use the example of, in my family, I've got extreme left thinking political people in my family, and I've got extreme right thinking political people in my immediate family.
Lunch must be fun around a table.
We don't do tables anymore. But for me, I love them all. Like,
yes,
we're going to Chicago pretty soon, and we're going to be with my entire family for a family gathering.
And does politics come up? Do points of view come up?
Well, to me, I don't care if. To me, if they come up, they come up, and I talk about them if they want.
Yeah.
But most people have learned to not talk to me about politics because I'm going to unpolitic them.
Yeah.
Poly is many. Ticks are bloodsuckers. So
wow.
So politics is just pretty much a bunch of bloodsuckers.
I love it.
But my thing is that.
But I don't know why people wouldn't want that, because if I was sitting around a table and someone had a perspective that was totally different from mine, I'd be really curious about it.
Come to my family.
Yeah, I'd be so curious about it.
Well, you should come with us to Chicago then.
I love it, okay.
because you're going to hear it all. But the thing is, like, so when you have people with such differing opinions and they're so emotional about it, they're just so, it's like there's this attachment to their president or their candidate or their political party, and they're so passionate about it. What I've done and what I find success doing is asking them to explain how is it that they became so passionate. Like, let's just say you're the leftist left person in the world. I would ask, it's like, you seem very passionate about this issue or this topic. Is there a
stock answer to that? What do people say when you say, why are you so passionate?
Okay, so this is a whole
Tone is very passionate. I mean, he's going to be voting for Trump, and he's very into his politics. He finds it entertaining, and he'll talk about it. I just got too many other things I think about, but he's very passionate, so I should pose that question to him.
Well, I mean,
what motivates his passion?
And that works if you come from a position of complete neutrality and just genuine love and peace and an interest in learning. And this kind of touches upon one of the bullet points I had from your reading that's sometime, I forget, episode 0, when you read the Mirror World. Have you ever heard of the saying, "En la cache à la kin"?
No.
All right,
I like it.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. In la cache à la kin.
In la cache à la kin.
What language is it?
I think it's Aztec.
Oh, what does it mean?
Okay, so I didn't know either. So when I heard that, it was like 15 years ago, and I was like, it was like music to me. When I heard it was musical. It was so beautiful. But I didn't know what it meant. I just thought it was beautiful. It was like a beautiful saying, and it was a greeting. It was people greeting each other with "En la cache à la kin." So it kind of came into my brain and left. But then just a few years ago, I heard it again, and I cried. Okay, so I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah,
what does this even?
Emotional
what does this mean? It was a very, very emotional.
Yeah.
I'm like, what does this mean? So I didn't know how to spell it. I barely even knew how to say it. I still don't even know if I'm saying it correctly. But I researched it, and it basically, in a nutshell, says, I greet you, and when I see you, I see the light within you.
So that's like namaste.
As another one of myself, and I honor you.
Yeah, that's like namaste.
So it's very similar to
You're
namaste.
seeing the divine within.
I'm seeing your light, and I recognize it as the same as my light.
Yeah.
So it's a self-greeting.
It's a greeting.
And so,
yeah, I love it.
But it resonated with me. So, So what I've done is, as I move forward in life, is I tend to view, like, if I have somebody that's very diametrically opposed from a viewpoint, I look at them with kindness and love and compassion, and just this idea that you are me, but you have a completely different viewpoint.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you ever hear an opposing viewpoint that makes you angry? That this is dumb and it's stupid and it's reckless and we shouldn't be believing in this and we shouldn't be doing this? Do you ever get that far with it, or you pull back to neutral?
I used to. Like, as recently as 5 or 10 years ago, I did. I'm at a place now where I just love everybody. And that sounds really corny, I know. But,
no, but it doesn't.
But I just, whatever they're going through.
Yeah.
And I'm in a place where people have beliefs, but beliefs can only exist in the absence of truth. So in other words, if somebody says they have a belief system, they believe ABC, ABC 1, 2, 3, they believe this way. Their beliefs.
But why is there an absence of truth in that? Because I feel that, so the mirror world, that is a belief system I'm laying out. That's all it is. But I believe I've touched on truth.
All beliefs are a subset of truth, but truth is not a subset of all beliefs. So here's an example.
Yeah.
So here's an example. Let's just use, there's a big argument out there now, what's the shape of the earth? Is it flat or is it round? Is it stationary? Is it spinning? All of this stuff. And some people get completely just so angry about it. Even NASA, people are like, look, just take the Hubble microscope, turn it towards Earth, let it pan from one horizon to the other horizon while the Earth is spinning. No CGI, no artwork. Let it live stream in real time. The answer will be settled once and for all.
And do they do that?
No.
Why won't they?
Because NASA is NASA, not a space agency. It's a money laundering scheme.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah. Well, this is my opinion. But this is an example of what will trigger people.
Yeah.
Because, like...
It sounds pretty radical.
Well, I've got a godbrother that is so NASA. And I'm a pilot. I went to the Air Force Academy, and I was all about NASA and space and, this type of thing. When you pursue the truth, when you look for the truth, and you understand the connection between NASA and Hollywood and Disney and how they all use the same technology to produce these videos to influence your mind, it's a complete mind F.
and more so in today's world of CGI and AI.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know what I'm watching now.
Well, what we see now is ancient compared to. I mean, they had this technology that we have now. They had it 25, 30 years ago.
Oh, did they?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was hidden and utilized behind the scenes.
Right. They're never going to give us...
That doesn't surprise me.
But NASA is, and I'll just be honest, it's complete fake.
Wow.
I don't believe anything NASA puts out. There's too much evidence.
What is their agenda to deceive us?
Well, here's the thing. I can't get into the agenda. My point is that I went from a complete believer in the space shuttle and planets and a complete believer to, remember I said the word belief. I was a believer. Mm-hmm. Beliefs can only happen in the absence of truth. So as soon as you start to see an astronaut, like say you see an astronaut doing a spacewalk and then bubbles coming from the mask, like they're underwater. How does that even happen? Right? And then you look at like the moonwalk, the moon landings. Like right now, there's a bunch of stuff coming out showing the behind the scenes when they're setting up the stage and they're doing the lunar module and all that stuff. It's showing from the recording from behind the set. So it's clear that this was, at least it appears, that this is a stage.
Why would anyone go to all this trouble of bullshitting us? Because they're wanting us to fit into a little regulated reality of worker drones, and this is all just going to keep us...
So this is a good discussion because, once again, there's a truth out there, and I don't claim to know what it is.
There is an absolute truth, I believe.
But see, there's a belief that some people think that there's a spinning globe.
But a belief is just, at that point, is a point of view, an opinion, a perception. It's a perspective. Yes, it's a perspective.
It's an opinion.
Yes, it's all it is. It's not a truth. When people say this is my truth, no, it's not, it's your opinion.
Well, and that's why over the past few years, since 2020, whenever somebody says, and look at my Twitter, oh my God, I can't believe I still have an X account, but the science is settled. That's the most unscientific thing you can say. Yeah. Like the very first thing about the scientific method is to observe and ask questions.
Yeah.
But if you say the science is settled, who decided what the truth is? So for me, I'm always questioning truth. What you say is truth, I'm gonna honor as your belief.
Yeah, but I don't say it is truth. I mean, I've written The Mirror World. I have no idea whether I'm onto anything or not, but I'm going to act as if what I have written is the truth. I'm going to orient myself with that, but I don't know whether it's truth. I just have to live as though it is.
And you and I are same that way. Like, I'm putting stuff out there, but like I don't know what the truth is.
Yeah.
Like
all ideas, isn't it?
I look at the data, and as a pilot, I look at the data and I'm like, everything I see and perceive, everything I measure appears to be a flat, stationary, non-rotating Earth.
Yeah.
And people will look, how can you be
if you were to tell Tony that, he'd be like, that's absurd. He would just...
And that's okay, but here's an example. The whole purpose here is that there's beliefs. I used to think that we were on a rotating, spinning Earth. And maybe we are. But there's only one truth.
Yeah.
Either my belief aligns with that truth or it doesn't.
Yes.
So right now I'm kind of in the middle. I'm like, if I had to bet everything I have on it, we're not on a spinning ball of water.
So funny, isn't it?
It's just...
Well, in the mirror world, I kind of liken this to a virtual reality game. And in Star Trek, I love Star Trek, and they have a hologram. And basically, you can go into the holodeck, the safety protocols are on, and you can do whatever you want. And I liken that to planet Earth. This is like a holodeck with the safety protocols off. Because... So your idea about, I don't know, because we're born, we go in utero, our soul comes in and we have a new life. So what is this holodeck we live on? It's a place, it's a training ground. That's what I say in the Starside Prophecy.
So you and I are so similar.
It wouldn't surprise me if it was flat. I mean, we just have no idea what this reality, it could all just be a dream.
But the truth is, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter to me.
It doesn't matter. So
how I orient myself in this reality matters.
That's the thing. To me, the answer is, regardless of what it is, how does that affect what I do today? Or what does that mean to me right now? And what does that mean for my plan for the future?
Yes.
Now, my plan for the future is to liberate myself and the other slaves, the other humans.
Right.
Part of the liberation is from our own mind.
Yes.
Our own mind cage.
First. Yeah.
Mind cage.
You can't liberate anyone else until you've liberated yourself, really, can you?
So that's a whole discussion. It's like, how many layers of cages have we been subjected to?
Like a Russian doll.
Right?
Yeah.
So I do this, again, this goes back to beliefs versus truth. I think that we all need to say, look, no one of us has a corner on truth. Like, I liken it to a 1,000-piece, like a jigsaw puzzle, where you come over with Tony and there's like Robin and I, and we just have some snacks and a glass of wine, and all of us have a piece of the puzzle, and you might work on the pieces of the barn, and Robin's doing the cow, and I'm doing the tractor, and we can share pieces and we can talk about, oh, that fits here, this fits here. But eventually we can start to begin to maybe see part of the picture of what the complete puzzle looks like. But ultimately, none of us will know until we all compare notes. I bring my pieces to the table. You bring your pieces to the table. We compare notes.
And doesn't that sound wise?
And then
so wise.
And then if we have 8 billion people working on the puzzle, we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out. So that's just one of the bullet points I had. I want to talk about the journey. Yes, it's about being present, but also we're creators, so we create this journey for ourselves. So it's this duality we live in. Part of us is living in the future. Part of us...
Yes, that's right.
Part of us is living right now.
You've got to design the future.
Exactly.
And then you've kind of got to act in the now and be in the now as if that future is already real. That's very important. You've got to raise your vibration to the vibration that you would feel if you were imagining a really nice future.
Yeah, and
That's
so
important.
I got a lot of peace from the affirmations that you brought forth. It's funny because years ago, like, I used to be a little bit angry with my parents.
Yeah, me too.
You were angry with my parents?
No, not your parents.
Okay. So I love my parents, but as I got older, I realized that they were nothing more than grown-up children.
Yeah.
So I started looking
not very
at
grown up, mine.
all of us. I started looking at all of us as grown-up children.
Right.
I look at you. I'm not looking at it. What'd you say? You're 50 years old or something? 50?
57.
Okay. So
feel like I'm 20.
I'm looking at a 5-year-old because my mind is that you're a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
You're knocking, seeking, asking, exploring.
Creating.
You're creating.
Yeah.
There was I forget the guy. I just read this study. There's a guy that did some research, and the goal was these corporations wanted to find geniuses. They wanted to find a way to bring geniuses into their company. Okay,
well, that's a great strategy.
Which is a great strategy.
Yeah.
But then the conversation became, how young can we get there? Do we go to high school, middle school? They started off with 5-year-olds.
Really?
So they started.
What did they give them, an aptitude test?
They started. I don't know what the test was, but they started going into it, and they found out that out of all the 5-year-olds, by their standard of genius, which is creativity, which is looking at things from different angles, most of 98% of the 5-year-olds were considered geniuses. using the same test or the same metrics, when they went through high school, junior high school, into adulthood, the percentage is inverted, where less than 2%.
Because conditioning has then taken place?
Because you've learned this. Yes, the answer is yes. Because, well, supposedly education is a lack of education. So instead of cultivating that 5-year-old's creativity and encouraging them from 5 years old to grow those special gifts and to become this amazing person, this amazing people, we've been told what we can't do. Cows are not purple. Cows can't fly. Stay in the lines, sit down and color. When the bell rings, you can get up and you have 30 minutes and then you're back in your seat. They put these limitations on us and we become conditioned to not be creative geniuses. Well, part of my Earth Angel project that I'm looking to fund, which is why I'm working so hard now, is to fund that, is because I want to have an academy for those kids.
Wow.
And it's 98% of the kids, right? So it's where they can come in and we can cultivate their...
From a young age, like
their
from
their variety of genius.
I love it.
Right?
Yeah.
So the other thing that
I want to write a book like The Mirror World for children, because I feel that if someone had said to me when I was very young, thoughts are very important, what goes on in your... And no one ever educated me on the power of the mind. And I have my children to some degree, but I think that would be a great part. I just see if children understood, and you can internalize everything and look at your thought processes, but we're not taught that. We're just taught that they're private, they're in your head, and they don't make any difference to anything. That was the reality. And that's sad. I wouldn't have made so many mistakes if I'd realised I have to harness my mind.
And part of that is like, people want you to behave according to their standards for your behavior. When they ask questions, they're not asking questions to gain insights or to learn for themselves. They're asking questions so that they can further interrogate you, or they can find out how you're thinking so they can manipulate you.
Gosh.
So in other words, there's multiple reasons that people will ask questions. If I perceive that somebody is asking a question of me to gain wisdom or knowledge, I'm going to engage them as long as they want.
And you're relaxed about that.
I'm fine. Yeah. But if I perceive that they're asking me questions for some nefarious or some ill-gotten reason,
self-seeking game,
to form the basis of a judgment, then I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm on to something else. So anyway, going back to my bullet points, I found a lot of peace. You and I came to the same spot at different times in our lives. The idea that I existed before I got to this earth space.
Was that something you intuited?
Yes. Yeah, I didn't read it. I came to that awareness. I won't even say conclusion. It's my belief.
Right, that's a better term, isn't it?
It's my awareness. Yeah. Basically, it came from me coaching people, because people would come into my studio and they'd maybe be a type 2 diabetic, or they'd have some chronic health condition. They'd have something going on in their lives. And I found that most of the time, the only thing blocking them from moving forward was themselves. I spent literally years trying to figure out, how do I unpack that? And how do I ask them, using a Socratic method, how do I unpack that so that they can come to a realization that they are their own limitation?
Yeah.
And so
you built a formula.
I did. And so what I asked them is, well, Sarah, you came here because you have eczema, right? Do you enjoy having eczema? No. Do you want to do something about it? Yes. Well, before we get into the eczema, which is super easy, I can help you with that. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions? Sure, go ahead. So I give them 3 things, my 3 standard things. I'm not a medical doctor. I don't do that religion. I am ordained with divinity and holistic natural healing. So whatever we talk about stays between us. And the 3rd thing is question everything. Always question everything.
Yes.
Not because I'm wrong, but because it's a good idea to question everything.
Yes.
So
it's good advice.
But then what I do is, I ask you, it's like, so Sarah, let me ask you a question before we go into the eczema. Who are you and why are you here? Wait a minute, you just said eczema in the same sentence. What do you mean, who am I? I'm Sarah and I have a skin issue, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking to your body. I'm not talking to your ego. Tia Jolie, I'm talking to your soul, the divine, precious soul that came into this earth space when you were born here.
But most people, and especially in this area, they don't think that the divinity is within. They think it's without, and it's separate. So when you say your divine soul, they'd be looking at you like you're speaking Hungarian or something.
But guess what? Most of them are crying within 5 minutes because nobody ever talks like that. So what I do is I ask them, let me ask it this way, Sarah, do you have a soul? Do you have a soul? And this is Soul Decodes, so this is a good conversation. Do you have a soul? Most people say yes, or I'm not sure. I've never had anyone say no.
Yeah.
They say yes or I'm not sure.
That's interesting. Does anyone say, what is a soul?
Well, they might ask to clarify.
Yeah. Because you could liken that to spirit in Christianity. You've got a spirit, and then you've got your flesh, your body.
I think spirit is like this life energy that's
it's animating us.
And maybe it's different for different people, but to me, spirit is the life energy and soul is the consciousness.
Oh, okay. All right. Because I would have had spirit and soul being interchangeable terms in my head, but I see what you're saying.
And maybe they are.
I think consciousness is spirit and soul. It's the thing that's animating this entire... But then spirit, you're talking about being the God aspect of everything else around us, maybe.
There's a subtle difference. Because, like, okay, you have a beautiful puppy dog, right?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Two.
You have 2 dogs. So those dogs, when you go there, they have this spirit. There's a life spirit. They act and react, right? Do they have a consciousness? Like they will react. Like they know when it's time to be in heat or to have sex or to eat or to sleep. They know
the
that.
instinct.
They know that. That's an instinct.
Yeah. That's not conscious.
That. To me, the consciousness is the ability to look way into the future and formulate a future plan for yourself. Yeah. To me, that's a consciousness. Yeah. Or look broadly and think about, like dogs are not thinking about all of the other dogs. It takes consciousness to think about all of the other dogs in the world. Yeah. Like a dog's not going to do that. People do, but dogs don't. So that's kind of a fine line, but that's the way I do it. So I ask, well, Sarah, do you have a soul? And the answer is yes. When you leave this earth space, when this body dies, is your soul going to go someplace? And most of the time people are like, well, I hope so, or yes. Yeah. I know where I'm going, that type of thing. Well, so your soul's going to go on to infinity in the forward direction.
Yes, what came before.
Did your soul exist before you were here? And this stops them almost every time.
Well, it would do, because Christianity doesn't talk about the prior, it doesn't talk about the before life ever. It's always the emphasis on the afterlife.
But even the Christians, I ask them, it's like, well, you have a scripture that says, I knew you before you were born. Right? So
that doesn't necessarily say you were anything.
But if I knew you before you were born, what is that?
Who are you? Yeah.
Who are you? Yeah. So they weren't talking about your body because your body wasn't here yet. So,
I have to look into that scripture.
Yeah, so I just ask the question because all I do is ask questions.
That's a very specific, tiny little scripture in an entire book that doesn't talk about the evolution of consciousness. Right. It talks about scoring a place at the right hand of the Lord by being good. It doesn't talk about growth at all.
And truthfully, I don't even read scripture except to relate to my Christian people.
Yeah.
I need to know
St. Paul's pretty good if you read the epistles because he talks about mental health a lot in that. That's the only benefit I get from it.
And the Gospels of peace.
Yeah.
The Gospels of peace are so good. Yeah. So anyway, the point is with the soul, I want to get in their brain that they are infinite. They are eternal, that they're part of this infinite divine, you call it the matrix. I call it the
only
one.
Planet Earth. I'm not talking about the Matrix is just planet Earth. I'm not talking about what's outside of this, whatever that is. Who the fuck knows? But the Matrix is just this little holodeck we live on the planet.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So these people come into this holodeck and they're going through these experiences. But the point I'm trying to make with these people is that you are eternal, and whatever's happening with your body, this eczema or diabetes, whatever you've got, it's transient. It's temporary. And we have to get you past you. Then we go into a conversation about what do you want for your life? When's the last time you really enjoyed happiness? Yeah. When were you free? Yeah. And sadly, there's a lot of people who they never had happiness in their life.
Yeah, that's so tragic, isn't it?
So it's like, okay.
And then becoming aware of that, that would be a catalyst to creating something better. But
that's
it's still
what I do,
pretty depressing, isn't it?
I've had a few people that just cry and they're like, I've never been happy. It's like, okay. Here's a line in the sand. You're with a friend.
And then who is the I and who is the person not being happy, right?
Right. And then I say, okay, And I pull out a blank piece of paper and I don't give it to him. I just say, this is a blank piece of paper. I'm your fairy godmother. Whatever you write here is going to happen. You can write big print, small print, back page, whatever. But the point is, what do you want for yourself? Who are you?
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Yeah. What
Where are you
experiences
going?
do you want to accumulate?
What do you want?
Yeah.
So I'm taking them from this idea where they're replaying these bad movies, like I've never had a happy day in my life, which is tragic. I'm sorry to say, I do hear those stories sometimes, and they're heart-wrenching.
I used to be.
They're heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
I want to draw a line in the sand and say, who are you and why are you here? Because if I can get into the soulfulness and the fact that if they're Christian, I'm going to talk about them being the child of a divine creator, right? Because that's their frame of reference. Yes. And I'm going to say, do you think you're junk? Is your God that weak?
Yeah.
Is that the best God can do?
Is he a tinkerer? Yeah.
Right. No, you're actually amazing, and you're here for a purpose. You're here for a reason, right?
In the image of God.
So so let's run with that. So anyway, I've got some other things to go through. I want to have you talk for a bit. God, I got like 6 other bullet points down there.
Go on, let's do it.
I want to respect your time, but
no, that's fine. We can finish up with these, and then I want to go on to the 7 stages of cancer. But I'd like to do that in the next podcast.
Okay, that's
Let's finish
fine.
up with the mirror world.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So while you're doing the mirror world, those are the things. I love the fact that I took accountability for myself by acknowledging that I chose my parents.
Yeah.
I chose this path.
It's liberating, isn't it?
Oh, like you said in the book, there's no excuses.
No, you're not. You can't be a victim.
I can't be a victim.
No, you cannot be a victim.
I'm here because I asked to be here.
Yes.
Because I will ask them. It's like, how did you find yourself in this earth space? If you're a free soul, you're a divine soul. Did somebody
you chose to be
Did
here.
somebody order you to be here?
No God would do that.
Or did
no
somebody,
loving, considerate God would say that's where you're going. No, it would be free will and choice. So, otherwise, we're not sovereign.
And believe it or not, most people say that. Most people say, no, I think I'm here because I want to be here.
Wow, what are you going to do with it all then? Yeah.
Then I'm like,
that's a great. The penny is dropped in that point.
Because as soon as they say, no, I'm a soul, I'm eternal, and I'm here because I want to be here, boom.
Yeah.
That eliminates.
So when we do our show that we're going to do, our live, when people come and we can talk about that's a really great place to begin, isn't it? What you chose to be here, what are you going to do with your life? You're creating this, and that has to be drawn out. Now I can draw that out of myself.
Right. And I do too.
And that's great. But we're older. But if you're in your 20s, because I wouldn't have been able to do that in my 20s.
I would have loved that.
I would have loved to have
somebody teach me that.
So let's bear that in mind.
Cool. And just the highlights of these other bullet points. We talk about all of the scripts have been written. That's how you wrote it in your book.
Yes.
All of the scripts are written.
Well, God knows the beginning, the middle, and the end, right?
Right.
So it's all there.
I want to have a discussion about water and water's memory, and we're water, and we're surrounded by water, and all of the experiences that water has ever had in the history of it, like all eternity, is actually encoded in the water, and it's part of us. It's like one drop of water having a terabyte of information.
It's very science fiction-y, but great though. I really like it.
Oh, it's stunning. So we can cover that down the future.
Yeah, let's.
Clearly, well, not clearly, but I'm going to presuppose, based on your writings, that you've studied the Hermetic principles.
Yes.
Because
mind is everything. Everything is mind.
I mean, that's number one.
Yeah.
Everything is mind.
So for the listener, go onto YouTube and listen to the Kybalion, and that's Hermes Trismegistus, and it's the 7 principles, and it's everything I write in the Mirror World.
I picked that up because when I was reading the Mirror World,
very interesting.
I'm like, wait a minute, this is perfect. This is
everything
is
mind.
Glove. Yeah,
mind is everything.
The
above and below.
The principles go more into vibration and polarity and things like that. I picked that up. The mentality, the mentalism part, I picked it up right away. I do have a question for you. Have you ever heard of the term NPC? NPC.
Not politically correct.
Right? No, that's a pretty good one. For some of us, we call them non-playing characters or non-participating.
Oh, I have heard this
So, like, if you're playing a video game, like
I call them paper people.
Paper people. Yeah, so like if you're an IndyCar driver and you're in your car and I'm in my car and we're going zzz, and there's thousands of people in the stands.
Yeah, they're participants.
They're non-playing characters.
Yes, I heard that actually. It's in the last couple of weeks. Stephen Needler did a podcast, and he was talking about that very thing that you're talking about.
So it makes me wonder because on the one point, we have this.
But then we would be that to someone else.
Well, that's right.
So that guy who's working at the racetrack, we're a paper person in his life.
Well, yeah, because he's sitting there and he just had the guy behind him spill beer on his back, right? Now you and I we're NPCs to him because we're just driving our race cars around this circle.
Yes.
And here we come again and again and
so we're all NPCs in each other's lives.
But the guy that's getting in a fight because he spilled beer on him. Those are the participants, and we're the NPCs there. So
yeah, I like that. That feels right.
So anyway, I just want to ask about that. Where do you draw the line, or do you draw the line? I'm going to say you don't draw lines, but how do you jive your ability to create within this holodeck when it differs from somebody else's vision for what they want to create? It could be something simple like, I want America to grow their own food. I want them to stop eating dead animals, and I want them to bring all of the power back to the local level so the people can have the power again. Mm-hmm. But somebody else, maybe you, or maybe somebody else, they want to centralize the power, put it in Washington, D.C., let them dictate who I am, what I learn in school, what I do with my life, what car I drive, whether it's gas or electric. Somebody else determines how I live. So there's this collectivism, and then there's this individualism, but both are realities in this matrix.
Yes.
And so how do we navigate that?
I don't know the answer to that. The outside reality of what's being forced on us, that's only going to change when we uprise. And so people like you are going to be having a platform to bring different ideas. I do the same thing with religion and spirituality. Mm-hmm. My ideas are pretty controversial. They really sort of step out of the norm. So that's what we're doing here as part of our life plan. And you call that disruptors or teachers. So we're hoping to change the general reality. I believe, and I said this in my novel, I believe we're going to create heaven on earth. That is the upshot of evolution, right? That is the end game. And to be happy, I think feeling hope and optimism for a really wonderful planet higher your vibration. So I'm incentivized to be hopeful because it makes me feel better in the now. And then rather than think this is Armageddon, this is all bullshit and we're all going to just, be blown to smithereens. I mean, that's a horrible negative vibration. So I think creating a better world is actually going to will make people feel better because it's linked to hope and faith.
I may have brought this up once before, but have you ever heard of Tartaria?
Sounds like a video game.
It's sometimes called Tartaria.
No.
I really want to introduce that subject to you, but there's a whole bunch of lost history that's been ripped off from us. Stolen history, I call it. In fact, my Telegram channel, for those of you on Telegram, you can find me. Well, it doesn't look like me. It looks like Guy Fawkes. It's got the black and white mask, but it's called Real Censored News. And it's all the stuff that we find that is not permitted on the mainstream, including alternative histories. This is where we find all of the fake NASA stuff. We find all of the revision history, the history that was stolen from us going back hundreds of years. There's even 1,000 years or 1,200 years that it looks like is missing. Mm. It's missing.
Yes, that wouldn't surprise me at all. And there was a big was it Alexandria, the library that was burnt down, and that had all the treasured manuscripts, and that was just burnt to the ground to stop that information being in the public domain, I guess. And then we were in the Dark Ages, and then only a few people could read.
Right.
And I mean, it's only in modern history that we can actually start to look back and think, hey, we have been suppressed. Yeah, and we're not going to put up with it forever. We're all going to rebel because we're all going to find it distasteful.
And I think that this is one thing you and I look at a little bit differently is I think the ancient people we're spiritually way, way
Oh,
more
I know. I
advanced than
agree
us.
with you.
Yeah, because I think we've been dumbed down to a large degree. We're trying to figure it out.
I think in some aspects we have. I think in terms of how the modern man lives in the modern world, the conditions are way better than any time in human history. I'd much rather be poor today than I would have at any time in human history.
Fair. I got one more topic. We'll call it a day if you
Okay.
want, and then we'll pick it up next time.
Yeah, sounds good.
So I've been exploring, like, are you familiar with the term lucidity?
I like the word lucid. I use it a lot. Clarity, clear.
Okay, so do you know what lucidity is in terms of our day-to-day? Like you say you meditate, right? Everyone's got a different way of meditate. Like some people go to the garden, some people do the Zen thing, fold their legs and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I
I've
don't do
never
that.
been into that.
Lucidity is, in my world, a state of semi-consciousness.
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 Why not fully conscious?
Well, right now, first of all, what does it even mean to be fully conscious?
Not to have thought streams uploaded in your head, to be in pure awareness.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the question becomes this. Do you think you're more likely to be completely clear for an uninterrupted connection to the infinite while you're awake or while you're asleep?
It happens to me in spurts while I'm awake. I feel completely connected to the infinite. But the moment I lose consciousness in a way, that my focus has shifted, now it's in a thought form, or now I'm reading. But the moments where I can center my mind, I feel very connected to all that is, because there's nothing going on in my head. It's just awareness. It's a peaceful, empty space.
Fair.
That's where I feel connected. And that, I would say, lucidity might be what that feels like.
This is something we could talk about maybe another time, but what I've been playing with for like 10 years now, it's so fun to do. Do you ever dream? Like when you're asleep, you have dreams, right? When you're in your dream, first of all, when you're in your dream, you never die.
Yes.
You never die.
No, that's right.
So, like, even if it's like monsters or vampires or whatever, like you never die.
No.
Because you always end up observing yourself in your dream. So, like, even if like you got shot with machine gun, and you're Swiss cheese, you're still alive because you're observing what just happened, right? So there's this idea that you're in your sleep, you're always alive. But the thing is, sometimes you feel out of control in your dream. Like you're always subject to these circumstances in your dream. I embarked upon this idea that just like our life outside of our dream, like in our daily world, we like to be intentional, and we like to go into this daily world, the daylight hours, if you will, with intentionality, with consciousness, with a game plan. So I started going to bed at night, complete peace, complete gratitude, peacefulness, but with direction. So what I would do is I would go, this is, again, started maybe 12 to 10 years ago. I would go in and I would say, okay, tonight, this is going to happen.
So it's lucid dreaming.
What I would do initially,
So you're programming a dream.
Well, it started off with programming. Then after a few years of doing that, I found out it's very, very powerful, where you can use your sleep to use your subconscious mind to solve problems. And I would literally wake up with the answers.
Interesting.
So what happens is you take away the prefrontal cortex,
Right.
this activity, and you use your consciousness to direct your subconscious as you fall into the sleep. So now, but this gets better. What I've been doing, sometimes you wake up, maybe middle of the night, something clunks outside, a branch hits the house,
Gator honks
you
or
wake
something,
up, or some siren or something, right? Some cow moos. Well, like we have a donkey that's crazy out there. It's like, it's just, when I say stupid ass, I really mean it. It's like, so, you wake up, but you're not woken up. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, yeah, damn it, I woke up and now I'm awake and now I'm thinking and stuff. But you can actually pre-program your brain to say, if I do wake up just slightly, maybe I went to fluff my pillow.
Yeah.
Right?
Or just turn over.
Just turn over. Or my feet were cold, I had to put the blanket on my feet.
Yeah.
When that happens, that's the window of opportunity for you to dive into lucidity. Whatever you were just dreaming, whatever was just happening, or if you weren't dreaming, you want to direct it. That's when your consciousness that you determined before you fell asleep you can insert that there. I do.
Well, it's very useful if you can
it's
get
so
that right.
fun.
Quite an evolved
Oh,
state,
it is
I would
so fun.
Gosh.
I would challenge you to do it. It's so fun.
Yeah.
Like
I've actually lucid dreamed a couple of
Yes.
times, so I know what you're talking about.
And
Where
it's-
I became that I can control this.
Yes, and it's fun because you can go backwards.
But I like the learning part,
Yeah.
that you can wake up with answers. I talk about that a little bit in the mirror world, where if you ask questions, they will get uploaded into your mind, and it will feel like inspiration. It's like, where did that
Where'd
come
that come from? Yeah.
But
So-
I like
But
this idea.
this is
of
going to
doing it in a
accelerate
dream.
yours like so fast because this is, and it's exciting because when you're lucid dreaming, let's say I'm flying an airplane, lucid dreaming, and I just have this idea that I need to fly it backwards. You can actually reverse the airplane, and the airplane literally flies backwards.
so that
and you can redo what.
So
you
the
just
laws
did.
of physics don't
No.
exist in this at all.
Nothing exists except for what you want to exist.
Yeah, God, what a
It's-
playground.
Oh, it's total playground.
Yeah.
And so you go into this place where sleeping is fun, it's exciting, and I look forward to it.
That's
right?
great.
But
Yeah.
you can use lucidity.
But you're utilising it, and that's great. You're
Well-
utilising it for this expression of yourself. You're making it work for you somehow, rather than just saying, I'm just going to go to sleep for 8 hours.
And there's one last thing, and then we can close
Yeah.
out. With lucidity, our ability to imagine what possibilities lie within our dreams is limited to our ability in this earth space to imagine what's possible. So what I've done in the past couple years is I've surrendered everything to whether you call it the Almighty or the oneness,
The source,
the infinite,
yeah,
the source, whatever
yeah.
you call God, right? And so what I've done is I've gone into sleep saying, if I hit this place of lucidity or if I don't, I'm going to surrender completely, and I want, from a spirit of peace and love and kindness and willingness to learn, I want the infinite to give me experiences that are beyond my capability
In the waking state.
to imagine in the waking state.
Yeah.
So I'm asking the infinite
Wow. Ask
to
and thou shalt receive.
give me experiences in that sleep or in the lucid state that I couldn't even imagine for myself.
And has that been
Yes.
activated?
It's been the most,
Wow, that's interesting.
that's been the most amazing experience of my life.
Yeah.
And-
I always had this philosophy, and I still have it, that we have free will. So higher knowledge can't be imposed on you because you're free. You have to call it in. You have to ask for it. And I do that in prayer.
Yeah.
So that's what you're doing.
Well, in
you're
my prayer-
calling in something more than, but you're having to give permission.
That's exactly how it sounds too. And I sometimes even say it out loud. I say, I'm going to sleep tonight. This is going to be the best sleep, the best experience I've ever had. I'm going to rest. I'm going to repair. All of the things that have to detoxify my body is going to happen. And for all of that, I'm grateful. I am summoning to myself infinite gifts from the gods, the goddesses, the ascended masters and mistresses, my ancestors, and from my future self.
I love it.
All of the things
Yeah.
that are beneficial and good for me, that'll help me bring
Be
forth
more than
bring
you are.
bring forth heaven on earth.
Heaven on earth. Yeah.
in this earth
Yeah,
space.
and your role in helping that happen.
And so I completely
love that.
surrender, but I also give the guidelines. And I know Christians and people like that will come unglued. It's like, you're surrendering to Satan. No. I give permission. I give the borders. This is only things that are going to be permitted
Yes.
for me to function within my own divinity.
Yes.
That's
in
all
love
that's
and
permitted.
grace and peace.
Peace, love,
and everything
kindness,
that's holy. Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
And all of the rest, and I actually tell,
Keep that's pushback.
this is it.
Yeah.
And you will, while I'm surrendering, you will defend me.
Oh wow.
So I'm very
You've
specific.
got a very good formula going on.
Well,
You
it
should
works.
Write that down.
It didn't happen overnight. It's
No.
just, you just, as
But
you
that-
experience
yeah.
things, you just keep adding to it.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, so you talked. You
Oh,
talked about
that's
this. one
I want to program my dreams tonight. I had this. It was a lucid dream. This was about maybe a year ago, and I was in this dream, and I was sitting on a couch, and there was a man sitting next to me down on the couch, and he was quite a inadequate-looking man, I would say, very small, but he was totally evil, right? And I knew in this dream that he was going to harm me in the most animalistic way, and I just had this lot of fear. And then I heard myself in my dream say to myself, you can think of anything you want and get out of this situation. So I said that in my dream. This is what I dreamt. And in my dream, I envisioned the El San Juan Hotel in Puerto Rico. One of my children were born in Puerto Rico. And I found myself in the lobby of the El San Juan Hotel, absolutely how it is. It's all wood panels and potted palms and music. And I was completely out of this state with this man sitting on the couch, and he was gone completely. And I woke up in my dream. That was a lucid dream where I directed my dream because he was going to harm me, and now I just got away from him and I put myself in Puerto Rico.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, where you can intervene on your own behalf within your dream. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a beautiful...
Yeah, it was great. It was a bloody relief as well, because I don't know what he was going to do to me.
So, well, how much longer do you want to go today?
No, let's wrap up for today, and then I've got more to talk about, but we'll have to get to that one next.
Well, thank you for letting me go over my bullet points.
Yeah, that was great. It's very interesting.
But those are things that just kind of popped up while you're reviewing the Mirror World. Yeah. How can people find out more about your work?
The Mirror World is available on Amazon. Sarah Tirri, The Mirror World, Get What You Came For. It's a journal, and it also helps you clarify how powerful you are and how you can get your life back into gear and out of this lull that you might have been living in.
I always appreciate you coming by. This is so fun.
Much.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so
much. Soul Decodes, a feature presentation, airs every Friday on the Earth Angel Media Network. This episode of Soul Decodes is sponsored and produced by Live Pure. Optimize your life by taking your health to the next level. Listen now to learn how Live Pure will make your world better.
Live Pure is an American-based distribution system of online portals that give discounted access to clean, potent, natural, and ethically sourced healthy solutions for fat loss, muscle gain, immaculate skin care, immune system support, whole body cleanse, physiological balance, and performance support for athletes of all ages. Live Pure handpicks the best products and nutrients from world-class companies, always adding to their quickly growing wellness lineup that now includes Korean skincare, medical-grade nutraceuticals listed as pharmaceutical alternatives in the physician's desk reference, and healthy coffee that rivals the world's best, but for only about $1 per cup. Soul Decodes listeners looking for vitality, youth, beauty, and better health can get 25% off retail by visiting livepure.com/Sarah Tirri and signing up for free as a preferred customer. If you are a content creator, influencer, or home-based entrepreneur looking for worldwide cash flows from the emerging gig economy, Live Pure's state-of-the-industry brand partner affiliate program can bring you up to 7 different payment vectors as bonuses. As a content creator aligned with Live Pure and Earth Angel Media, you will enjoy massive co-marketing benefits, including a cutting-edge website that is personally branded to you or to your business. Sign up as a brand partner at livepure.com/Sarah Tirri, or drop us a note at connect@earthangelproject.com to get more information.